What's up, Internet? So, coming to you with a quick tip because I'm working back on the S10. I'm doing the fuel cell and everything in the back, but up front, while I'm letting stuff dry because I had to paint it, wanted to show you a quick tip on just making simple brackets that can be a big difference on your project. So, as you can see in the engine bay here, I've got my transmission dipstick. Now, there's kind of flops in the wind. This is one that's designed to mount to the firewall. Well, if I mounted it to the firewall, it would be behind all this junk here. It doesn't really have enough reach to go over here, and I might put a air box back in it to at least have vent and everything. So I don't really want to leave this just dangling in the wind. It probably won't hurt anything, but I want to lock it down. So looking on the stock valve covers here, I've got this bracket and this stud. So time to start cutting up something to try to fit in here. Okay, so for this I'm using 22 gauge metal. It's inexpensive. You can get it at hardware stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, all that. It's easy to bend, and for a bracket that small, I don't need it to be super stout. So it's something that's really easy that you can do yourself. So the first thing I did is I just cut it into a square, because that's just easy to kind of, for me to visualize and kind of get everything set up. And then I knew I was going to need at least an initial bend, so I cut a small section and bent it and drilled out the hole. So that goes over the stud. So then I'll just need to measure up from there, figure out where I need to cut this section and bend it over so it'll capture the other part of the black bracket that's already in the engine bay. Okay, so you can see by tracing it, I now have a cut line, so I know I need to at least cut it up to here, and then this top part is my bend line. So I can at least come up to here and then bend it over from here, then I should be able to capture that hole, and then I'll just have to do the top part that attaches to the actual dipstick. But yeah, I'll cut up here, and the other nice thing is, I mean, you can cut this by hand, using a hacksaw. That takes a little bit of time, but with a steady hand you can also cut it with a cutoff wheel. So again, the nice thing about working with the thinner sheet metal is it bends fairly easy, and you can use something like a simple bench vise. Get my bend line where it needs to be, and just bend it by hand. So now we have our stepped bracket. We'll go test fit it. You can see there's where we're going for, and that goes on top and then fits there. And then mark the hole underneath and drill that, and then we can line up this part. Now this will get bent over the top a little bit, so this will line up a little bit better. We have the bracket bolted in, so I just found a nut that fits that stud, and then I got the same size bolt and nut, and then up here, as you can see, this bracket piece comes off. This is a low car one, so I can just line it up on here. I'm gonna probably center it and kind of put that there, see where it goes, and that fits good there. So I can mark those holes and drill them. I'll kind of keep it up close to the top, and once we get them drilled, we'll see how everything fits. Well, I've got it all test fitted. It's just loosely on there. You can see it's not completely bolted down. This part's bolted in, but everything still smooths in and out. It's out of the way. Even if we added the air box, it wouldn't get into the way of anything. It looks pretty good. Now we could leave it like that, but honestly, look at it. Yeah, it needs a little bit of help. It's got super sharp edges and all that. So let's take this over to the grinder and see what we can fix on it. There it is. So you can see I rounded off the corners so there's not sharp edges. Took a hand file and knocked down a lot of the burrs. Bolted it in, just put some black paint on it, just kind of blends in, and like I said, it works good. Everything moves in and out, and now this is held in place. It's not going to come up out of the way. I don't have to worry about it falling into something else. Pretty simple, right? So everything I did was with basic hand tools. I used an angle grinder, I used a bench grinder, but you could just use a grinding disc on your right angle grinder, cutoff wheel. I used a bench vise, was able to bend it by hand, drill bits, everything super simple. It's just cleans up the engine bay, makes it look a little bit nicer, so it looks like it's more complete. Now I don't have to worry about that moving, and this is the very basics of fabrication. So if you're trying to learn how to fabricate, sometimes bigger projects can be overwhelming. This was a very small, simple bracket, and it took me maybe 20 minutes, and that's with filming in between and painting it. So all in all, not bad. And it kind of gets you the idea of where you need to measure when you bend, how much material gets taken up, then you got to drill it and how much overlap you have. So get out there, make something for your ride, and you also have a good one.